Greetings everybody, welcome back to Rebuilding the Commonwealth with myself. Glad to have you here. It's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting episode today. I've just got a funny feeling. We're here at Warwick Homestead. If you guys are liking this series, make sure you hit that like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me out. And hit the notification bell. You always know when an episode is up. Won't bore you with the rest, but hey, now we're nearly 600 subscribers. I almost feel obliged to keep saying it. It seems to be working anyway. So as you recall, last episode we put together this really intricate looking, well, I say intricate looking, more chaotic than intricate, but that's what I'm going to kid myself and say anyway. Looking warehouse here. It's got fire receivers here. It's armoured up, and we have cruise missiles ready for the Minutemen to deploy. We have 8. I can't even count today. We've got 8 low yield missiles back here in lanes 3 to 6, and we have 4 high explosive, high yield missiles over here. We also have a couple carrying on the crane up top. Or illuminated in red, of course. Yeah. Now, today is, I think it's going to be quite a frustrating, but also quite exciting episode, because I'm going to try, and I mean this literally, try, to work on the battleship that's going to be docked here. Now, I've already built out a couple of these walkways to a moderate degree. And we have a decent amount of space to work with to build a half-decent ship. Now, I am just going to pre-warn you on this one. I'm pretty much going into this completely fucking blind. So, if the result comes out and it's absolute shite, please do not panic. We're just going to be laying the framework on this one today. Okay, so where do we go from here, you might wonder? Well, let's start with the upper deck. Now, of course, where the ship is moored here, I want this to be the upper deck. So it's not going to be a particularly tall ship. I mean, I've looked up specifications for battleships, and I know what I'm building probably falls short of estimate as a battleship, but I'm going to call it that for what it is at the moment. We'll probably rename it. We will need a name for the ship as well. So, just going to use wood here to kind of lay out how big we want this ship to be. I'm thinking 4 wide would be okay, mainly because we would have walkways on the other side, and possibly another industrial building on the other end. Also, somebody in my comments asked what that particular building over there was. It's nothing. It just has a fallen filing cabinet. It's got an industrial shed on it. I did wonder why there was a spotlight, but hey. I'm thinking 5 actually. Yeah, because where the end of those balconies is the end of the settlement, so we could quite easily build another concrete structure this side if we really wanted to. And I think this is quite a healthy width for a battleship or a cruiser, whatever this is going to end up being. And in terms of length of the ship, I'd like to think this is going to be satisfactory. Of course, I know ships are not just going to be giant boxes out in the water. This is just to get a base going, to see what kind of surface area we're working with. I do intend for this to be fully open and, you know, livable and all that exciting stuff. I think because the end of that is where the settlement ends. Like, that's the very end of the settlement. And as much as I made this symmetrical, I don't think the ship is going to be as long as this. I'm starting to think 4 is probably more realistic portion-wise. So let's take this down to 4, and we'll see how this looks. For surface area. That's it. You know, just for avoidance of doubt, I'm not going to call this a battleship. I'm going to call it a missile cruiser. So the Minutemen are now getting a missile cruiser to help deal with the gunner threat. I don't know about you, this still feels short for what I want it to be. It feels short, but I can't really lengthen it this way any further without encroaching on the water here. This little retaining wall is going to have to go, honestly. Yeah, we're going to have a proper concrete retaining wall around here, not this messed up piece of shite. Now let's highlight a few key features that are going to be on this ship, just to get us started here. Granted, I'm going to have to do a fair bit of this off camera because I've never built one of these before, and it's going to need a lot of messing around with. Now under CVC, this is what gave me the idea for the building just here. You have bunkers. Now one of the tiles that we have in bunker is in fact... Is it in CVC? No, I know where it is. It's in Hodgepodge. Can't get anything right today. So yeah, in bunker here, in Hodgepodge, we have a lot of bunker tiles and a missile silo. Particularly these ones have the really, really large ones. And then we have these, which are the 4X launchers, which will fit in a standard configuration, and over on that side, that is what those missiles are designed to fit. So I'm figuring we should have these missiles as part of the ship, because they will be ship launched, these missiles. Now if I put these in, let's just put these here for now, just to highlight where they're going to go. It's not going to look like this in the final result, I can assure you of that. Can you... Okay, I can't fall into them, that's always a good sign. And I think this is only going to have enough space for one deck below before it goes into the water. Yeah, that's a little bit what I was afraid of. I would have ideally liked this to be three levels, but in fact I think 2 levels probably makes my job a little bit easier. Yeah, because that can make an interesting configuration underneath. Now under the Curo tab and the structural pieces, we have metal. The Curo tab creates lack. Now you have a lot of these rusty metal which have holes in them, which of course if you have a ship you don't really want holes in them, just because water exists. But I think one of these, particularly things like this, I don't know why there's like holes on one side and not on the other, but things like the airplane fuselage might work, because you have tiles like this which have, you know, no holes in them whatsoever, and they're in pristine shape, a bit like these scrap metal roofs. In particular, there are a few of these that I want to use. For example, these corrugated metal panels. I think there are some that arch kind of inwards on themselves, and plus with these panels we can actually patch up some of these ruined pieces. I don't really want it to be made out of scrap. This is going to be like one of the pride of the Minutemen. Yeah, scaffolding as well, which we could utilise as kind of shipbuilding. Now we have blue metal, which is one of the pieces I want to use. Now, there's one piece that curves in on itself. Where is it? This one. Now if I were to place this underneath, I don't think any of this is how the final result is going to look. This is me essentially laying out the layout for the ship. I have a feeling we're going to have to get away with making this wider. I mean, that is a huge, huge gap right there, which I'm not comfortable with. So we're going to have to mess around with this a little bit. Can I get any of these wall pieces to snap underneath like this to get a proper height on it? No. What about the vanilla wood? Can I get vanilla wood pieces to do this? Okay, no, but can I get it to stack, perhaps? If I take that away, and take that away, and take that away, will you snap because you don't have a choice at that point? No, for some reason you cannot snap downwards, you can only snap upwards, which does make this a bit of a pain in my arse, to be honest. Okay, now I'm pretty confident that one of these goes down one level. So if we place a piece of shack flooring up here, wow, my wood supply is getting very low. Let's use the low resource ones from G2M here, because as I say, the floor is not going to be wood. This is it's not going to be wood at all. 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't even line up. Oh, fucking course it doesn't. Yeah, of course it doesn't. I didn't even put in the correct industrial flooring. Sorry about this. There's me wondering why it's not working, and the solution was literally right there in front of my face. It's not under Homemaker, is it? No, it's not, of course it's not. It'd be under Industrial. Industrial... No, not Industrial Flooring. It's going to be Industrial Catwalks. Now, so we need to put a one-way... Hang on a minute. No, we don't. We only need a half. I swear to God, I'm not even focusing today. I don't know why. There we go. That's correct. Now I can go into G2M, and this should now line up as I need it to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, maybe if you're like an expert or you've been in the Navy or something, you can tell me what this ship was technically classified as. Because I'm probably not at place to say. I'm definitely not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert on naval craft. That's for certain. Okay. Right, now, if I take the Kuro tab and go to metal retextures and go blue metal. Okay, now we can place the blue metal here. Now I will be patching up the surface of this so it won't be like this all the way. Now, here comes the tricky bit. In order to get a satisfying framework for this, this is going to take a bit of fancy ass finagling. So first of all I need to line it up here, then I need to bring it inwards and line it up a little bit further, like that, so that the curve comes inwards. And then it can essentially stretch a bit further down. I say this is not the finished product, this is just me creating framework. Please do not take this as gospel. I need a way to taper the ship like like comes in at a point. I reckon that might be something I have to do off camera. See, I don't understand why it doesn't want to snap onto the top there. What I'm going to do is go all the way around the ship doing this, so that... Okay, I'm going to have to snap it there. Bring it up to the top. Yeah, so the very end of that reaches the wood. That's fine with me. Yeah, that's it. So bring this along like so. I say, don't think the ship is just going to be a square. It's not. This is, like I say, me just highlighting where I want things and the general layout, and then I will properly mess with this. Not entirely off camera, but there will be things I will need to experiment with off camera, because this is going to be one hell of a damn build to get right and not look absolutely stupid. That's it. Now I am fully appreciative here that this obviously won't match up. Again, not a problem, because this is a rough draft. And I'm definitely going to call it a rough draft. Let's just bring the floor up so we know what floor space we're working with. This will be ideal because it closes the area around the silo pieces that we've placed. This end gives us a good idea of the levels to the ship as well, and what kind of space we'll be working with. Honestly cannot believe I'm at a point of building a fucking ship. To think 109 episodes ago or whatever, I was stammering my words and people were leaving comments on my first ever episode like, this guy sounds like a fucking idiot. Here I am building a battleship. It's amazing how things come along in the space of a year. Wow. I don't know what's causing it, but there appears to be an invisible wall or an invisible box or something right here. Like I say, I've got no idea what's causing it, and it doesn't get in the way, but it is very strange. It is very strange. Okay, so the back of the ship is going to be over here, and this is where the missiles for the ship are going to be launched from. So if the captain of the ship orders a missile barrage, this is where they'll be fired from. They'll be fired, launched, they'll be out of here. Oh, whoops, wrong button. Now, front of the ship, we need some kind of helm. Now, I don't know how successful this will be, but under vehicles, I think there is one for no, not tanks. I thought there was one for water vehicles, but I must be mistaken. Unless I'm thinking of the Kuro tab again. Structural. Static vehicles. I think this is the one we're looking for. Now, there was one commenter who suggested a... Oh, there you go. There was one commenter who suggested a really, really good idea for the future of the Minutemen. And I'm really, really stoked to do it, right? He suggested the Vault-Tec workshop as a monorail station. And all round these settlements, in some of them, build monorail tunnels. I have all the components to build monorail tunnels. So I think I could actually create an underground network. I'm only going to place this again for ironing out how big I want things to be. Yeah, this isn't really going to be a battleship, is it? It's nowhere near big enough. I think if I was going to put in a cabin, I would want it to probably be bigger than this by just a little bit, because it's going to need a bridge. I'm not going to leave this cabin, by the way, as the end of it. This is just a gauge of size. I will develop this as it goes. Yeah, what I'd want this ideally to be is ever so slightly wider. So potentially half a tile on this end for you to walk around. Maybe have some staircase going up to like a vantage point above the cabin, which I'd be happy to check out. So we'll have someone maybe 2 floors up at the top there who can look out. Maybe lays targets. We might even have an artillery cannon on the top for lighter ordnance. And then anyone who looks out, sees a target, they can then launch missiles to it. On this side I'd want the same, which would leave us with a net space of 3. 3 tiles. Now I think 3 tiles is quite reasonable to have a stairwell that goes beneath the deck. I think this ship could probably be manned with maybe 8 to 10 Minutemen. So we would actually be able to build up a navy of 8 to 10. Their sleeping quarters can actually be on the ship with the size that we've done. Maybe 2 to a room and 1 for the Admiral. We will have an Admiral on this ship. Okay. So if I'm going under deck, this place here would be the control room for the missile launchers. So if I sectioned off from here, that would take 4 tiles out, which leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little bit further up front. So I'd have 6 by 4 space. I've got 24 tiles to create a living space for 8 to 10 people. I mean, that is quite reasonable. I have done more with less before, so that's not an issue at all. Now, the shape of this I'm not really feeling, I'll be honest with you. Because the curve coming inwards is great, but I don't think it comes in enough. This looks more like a really shitty aircraft carrier than anything. In terms of the size, I do like the width of it. I think the width is fine. I mean, with this size, I could probably build 2 of the fuckers side by side and probably still have enough room left over to build another supporting structure on the side. Let me just fuck around with a couple of designs. I'll be back with you guys in a second. Okay, so I've had a quick look. This is going to be a little bit more difficult than I expected. Now, the way I use place everywhere, I have these lovely and wonderful hotkeys. So I can make things smaller, I can make things bigger, I can make adjustments to their positions up and down, or left and right, or back and forth. You know? Makes sense. Excuse me. Except if I want to rotate them, there is no special hotkey. I just have to hit the mouse button. And unfortunately, it leads to results like this. Now, that is a problem because one click of it can send it into an absolute tizzy like that. And it's very difficult to get exactly what I want. So what I've done instead, or what I'm going to do, is figure out what I need to do with the angles, for example, of these walls, and then I'm just going to console command them instead. Much more precise. It achieves the same result, but it means you don't have to watch me mess around with this. Now, what exactly am I trying to do, do you wonder? Well, I don't like how shallow this angle is. So I've done pretty much the same thing here, except I've angled this back by 15 degrees, which creates the result I'm looking for. So if I do the same with this, I think all of these are going to have to be repositioned manually, just because the way it angles after this is like really like terrible, I'll be honest with you. So what I'll have to do is position these manually. This will be a job for off camera. I'm probably not going to do this off camera unless I do it live. We're doing it live! So yeah, unless I do it live, that probably won't be something I'm going to bore you with. But yeah, all of these are going to have to be repositioned manually to get the angle that I'm looking for. And then I'm going to put another colour underneath to finish the job. So that's going to be the outside, as it were, or the hull. I think it's called the hull. Now, the bit up here needs to be curved inwards. Now, I either have to shorten the ship and create a nice smooth curve, or we're going to have to essentially fuck around and find out. Now, I'll admit, I've looked all over YouTube. I do actually like check in with smaller creators and all that to see if there's any designs that I can borrow or potentially give credit to. I haven't particularly used many designs I've seen online or from smaller creators because they don't seem to fit thematically with what I'm doing. However, I cannot find a single person online who has built a battleship. I've seen people who have repurposed small crafts like the tugboats that this cabin is designed from, but I've not seen anyone build an actual cruiser. So it could be that I'm the first person to do this, in which case if I do it successfully I will be infinitely patting myself on the back. But let's not get too ahead of myself. I'm probably going to screw this up. I normally do. Now, the only way I can think to make this shape what I want is to really, really mess around with this. Now, I'm going to use one of these to get the shape. Now, I think one of these keys disables object snapping. Just figuring out which key that is. I bet you it's the key I use to start my recording, isn't it? It's probably the key I use to stop recording. That means I'm going to have to rebind my key. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. Had to change my old my settings here. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to do is not have the ship completely like block straight. So this is what I'm going to do. Let me change the rotation step here down from 15 degrees down to, I'm going to bring it down to half. I'm going to bring this down really low. I'm going to overlap these ever so slightly, and I'm going to use this as the middle point. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's not exactly. I mean, if I use these two are the centre point. So let me rotate this. Excuse me, I am using the wrong axis. There we go. Ever so slightly, like that. That is too much. There we go. Yeah, barely enough, I think, just there. That's it. So I want the ship to bank ever so slightly this way. Like I say, all of this will be swapped out and it will be changed. There we go. There we go. So object snapping, I think, can be on for this. So this ship will now arch ever so slightly this way, which I think gives it a slightly more, what's the word I'm looking for, nautical nautical feeling. So we'll do the same thing again. We'll just rotate this ever so slightly, like that. I can't actually believe I'm going on this journey of building a battleship. I've been kind of dreading it and also been really excited for it at the same time. Yeah, I think that gives the ship very slightly more... I want to say natural, but there's nothing natural about my fucking builds. A slightly more natural shape on that side. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this mirrored, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to make it perfect enough that it doesn't bother anyone. Let me just fix these graphical tearing, just because they're on the same plane. There we go. I think where the ship is coming to an end, I want this one to rotate a little bit outwards as well. And we'll make the movement step back again. No, I think it looks more natural to have the two here. Okay, now for the end. Let's snap one onto the end. And let's work out a way to curve this. I'm going to use this because it's going to be a much tighter in-turn is what I'm thinking here. How I'm going to build walls around it is tomorrow's problem. That's not a healthy way of looking at things, by the way, to just go, it's tomorrow's problem. But it's the one I'm taking with this particular build. If you have suggestions for the name of the ship, please drop them below. I'd be very interested to see what you have in mind. So this is where I need a copy-paste button. Okay, I'm gonna try and follow along the same route on the other side, so that we don't create a thing that's really out of sync. I think that looks about right. So then, all of this is going to be torn up and replaced. So, in some ways, it's not redundant, but it's near enough redundant. As soon as I start reskinning this, a lot of these shack pieces will be removed from circulation. Let me just turn my lamp on here so you can see what I'm doing. So that's a kind of, I'd say, a small triangle in there. I don't think that's quite big enough. There we go. Small shack floor. We'll do the same thing again. Rotate. How is this looking? I feel like that one comes in a bit more than this one. I feel like we're also getting quite dangerously close to the edge here. I think the curve needs to get a little bit more. A bit more vigorous here. I mean, this one is getting close to like 90 degrees by this point. So, let's see what we can do. Now that one is much, much closer than this one. I'm trying to think of a better way we can do this. Because to go from this angle to there is, I mean, it's not 90 degrees because this isn't at like a perpendicular angle. Let me try this another way. Also, I am working on the kind of poor assumption here that the other side is going to mirror this, and that might not be the case. I mean, this ship, I want it to mirror, but I don't think that is strictly going to be possible. It is worth a try, but I don't think it's going to be possible to get a perfect outcome from this. Let me drop this down a little bit. Okay, so that is how much is encroaching. See, that is already way too well banked to get away with this. I mean, that's a little bit more like it, but far from perfect. There we go. If I now curve that ever so slightly, so we have a decent amount, which it's not enough is the issue here. That is now not enough. Yeah, so this should be the last straight piece, and then this should be ever so slightly curved, which it is not really, I'll be honest. I have a feeling this is going to be too much, but it's worth a go. Now, you know what? I think we might be okay with this. That needs to be there. That's it. Let me just move this up by down by 0.2. That's it. Yeah, I think that is as close to symmetrical as we're going to get on this side. Like I say, these floors are standardized sizes. They will be modified in due course. Let me just tuck these away just so they don't mess with everything. Right. And let's drop a quick save before I screw up all the progress I've made. Right. Now we can begin with matching these together. Now I'm no geometry expert, of course, but I'm willing to bet that angle to there is probably about 15 degrees. I'm not going to bet my life on it, of course, but I'm willing to bet about 15 degrees. If this is 15 degrees, that's about 60 we have to make up. So let me open up the console here. I mean, this is something I could achieve with the game results anyway, but this just makes it cleaner. Now if I go set angle, z-axis, and let's say we make this 15 degrees. Okay, wrong way. So make that minus 30. There we go. Now, let's drag this back. And bring it in line with the ship's edge. How does this look? Too steep or not steep enough? You know what, I think we'll go with it. We'll see how it looks. If I don't like it, then fuck it. We'll sort it out. Let's do the same thing. So we're going to go minus 15 that way. Okay, no, we do it the other way around, 30. That's it. Bring that inwards. Again, I think that's way too steep, personally. Way too steep. So we start again. See, this is going to be the headache of building a ship. So... hold on, that's set angle. I'm being an idiot. It's mod angle, I think. Oh, yeah, of course. Mod angle Z. Yeah, it's the other way around. What the hell am I doing? It's not that. Right, I'm making a fucking pig's ear of this now. Sorry, guys. Right. Mod angle minus 15 degrees. That's what I'm talking about. Now drag this back. And we'll line it up like that. Now we do the same on the other side. That will keep the rotation uniform across both decks here. Now because it's the other way around, it needs to be plus 15. That's it. I'll bring it up by 2 units just so that it matches. Make sure the wood tassels here fit right on that very corner there. That's it. Just check that's absolutely... Oh no, that's a little bit off. That's it. Okay, place another one. Console command. Again, we'll use this one. And we will minus 15 that. Then we will drag it backwards ever so slightly. And we'll line up the corner to corner like so. Do the same on the other side. Don't really know why I'm doing that, but screw it. And that will need to be additional 15, like that. Make sure the very corners line up, like so. I think we're going to get away with this, just about. Hold on. Okay, phew, the water stretches. Okay, yeah, we're going to chance this, guys. I mean, I would say worst case scenario, we just move it over, but given how many pieces this is going to be made of, I don't think we're just going to be able to move it over. I'll get out of the way. Oh, for fuck. I'm about to shoot in the fucking head. Yeah, we'll either have to push this further away, or we will have to modify the angles here and rethink it. I'm going to take away this retaining wall as well. Okay, shack floor. Big shack floor. It's big shack. Sorry. I mean, the ship is going to look like it's running aground, but I think I might just about be able to fuck around with the retaining walls and hide that. I mean, everything I build has got to have a cute little character flaw in it, doesn't it? Let's say this is all laying the framework. Okay, it's going to intrude on the terrain a little bit. I know that for a fact. But that is a consequence of this we're going to have to live with, and I can live with it. Now if I extend this one out by 2 more, of course this one will have to be minus, like so. Like this. Make sure the corners match up, like that. Minus 15. Oh, the things I do to rebuild the Commonwealth. Why do I do this to myself? Okay. Actually, I think I need to do that from the other side. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Yeah, so I need to do one more on this end to really bring this in. It's not going to be perfect, but it is something we can work with. Yeah, okay. That's to be expected. It isn't perfect, but when is anything I build perfect? Okay, that is as good as I can get that piece. If I just take these back by 2 units, that should... There we go. So that's created near enough a perfect curve that I can use here. And if I go to the back here, I'm quite satisfied with that. Yeah, excellent. Now the front of the ship is going to be a different kettle of fish. This is going to be a pain in my arse, almost literally. I'm joking. Yes, we have a nice kind of slant back here, then a curve for the back of the ship, and that is good. However, okay, we need to go down the middle here for these two. Then we rotate ever so slightly. Oh, I say ever so slightly. We don't do it that way. I think that might be a tad too steep. Yeah, it's just a little bit too steep. Let me retry that. That's better. Thing is, the more we slant this, the easier my job becomes later down the line. So let's in-jog this ever so slightly. I'll say these floorings are likely to change. Please don't sweat it. Okay, now I need to do the same on the other side, or this will not work in the slightest. So I'm spending so much time doing the planning because the more of a plan I make and the better that plan is, the easier my job is going to be. You know, strong plan, strong result. Have I just in-jogged the wrong piece? Yes, I have just in-jogged the wrong piece. How stupid can I get? That's the piece that needs in-jogging. So in-jog this ever so slightly. Yes, that's straight in-jog, and then another in-jog. Okay. Another slight in-jog like that, and then do the same thing again. Okay, we have to be careful now because that is the only amount of room we have to work with, unless I shorten the ship. And I'm actually tempted to do that. If I shorten it down to 9, it will be a slightly shorter missile cruiser. But from the side, I don't think we'd be losing all that much. So you know what? Executive decision. I'm going to shorten the ship. Just by 1. Which means the in-jogging will have to be done again. But that is the downsides of this. Now that means we do actually have one concrete place, which is the end, which is this. So this needs to be re-straightened. Oops, daisy. This needs to be straightened back up. This needs to be straightened back up. So let's start from the middle. Again, we will in-jog like that. I think slightly too much on that occasion. That's better. Slight in-jog and slight in-jog like so. Perfect. So we'll have to reset the in-jogs on this end, of course. Line up with the boarding ramp and we'll in-jog this one. Oh, blimey, that was barely even an in-jog. That, oh no, that's way too much. You know what, I'll roll with that. I have a feeling that is way too heavy on the old in-jogging there. If anyone wants to keep a count of the number of times I've said the word in-jog, please please feel free to let me know. No, I think that's actually okay, you know. But this one needs to be a little less harsh. There we go. Now, considering this is a ship, the front of the ship needs to be pointed. Because, of course, it needs to break the waves. It needs to push forwards. So, this one will be slightly easier, I think, than the back of the ship. So let's put one down here and one over here. And let's turn this to a much stronger in-jog here. So I've got 3 tiles of space to work with. I have to bring 2 of these into a point, which is going to be, I want to say 45 degrees, but I don't think they have to be at 45 degrees. Just say 30. Okay, let's just try and fuck with a few numbers here. So if I mod the angle here for 15, that goes the wrong way, that's fine. So minus 15, right. So it's minus on the right hand side. Let's just minus this and say 30 degrees. I think that's a bit too much. So let's try minus 25. I'm just thinking of the space we have to work with here. The better I can make this plan, the better I can build a battleship. I can assure you of that. So do forgive me for any imperfections. But as I say, the more we iron out now, the less we'll have to do later. Ooh, I really got that mismatched, didn't I? Never mind. You know what? I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's too bad at all. But we will have to... We will have to centre the point of this a little bit. So if I stand right on the point of the ship, it's not quite centre. Then again, neither is this fucking thing, so how am I going to mark the centre for this? Let's just punt this cabin over here. Now the ship is only 4 wide, so if I extrapolate this, let's just reline this up. Now if I extrapolate this, let me use a different set of floors here, otherwise I'm going to fuck this up and miss my place. Does a metal... do I have floors? Oh wow, I don't even have structures in metal I can use. Concrete, there we go, concrete will work. So yeah, if I extrapolate this with concrete, the very centre should be here. So let's just try and fuck around with this for a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's just shrink this down. So the very point of this is right there. I can't believe I'm being this damn careful. Also, I'm sorry for the tearing here, but this is necessary to get the whole thing done correctly. I say if it's a job worth doing, it's worth doing well. That is a mantra I have dedicated a lot of my adult working life to. Yes, it needs to come inwards to a point where I can't quite see it like that. Now if I shrink this ever so slightly, thing is, it's never going to be perfect because these are not at right angles. And as much as that pains me, I don't think that is ever going to be perfect. However, I might be able to make an attempt to bring it as close as possible to perfect. Not doing it. Oh my god, these graphical tears are really fucking with my eyes right now. Are you going to snap to the one underneath? No? Am I going to have to go to... Am I going to have to go and mess with G2M again for you to do that? No, it's not going to do it. Okay. I want to leave the concrete there for just a moment. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. I'm never going to get that exactly where I need it to be. But I think that's close enough because I can camouflage a decent amount of this. Right, so now the concrete can be taken away because we've mapped out the very centre. Just going to fill this in and we'll take away the imperfections so we know how much surface area we're working with here. I think this is actually quite a successful result for what we're doing. Right, let's just admire the shape here from a distance. Okay, so we have a pointed end boat. Excellent. The back here is extended outwards, so I feel like we might be able to camouflage these silos, however we decide to obviously present them. Part of me is thinking we might have to make stairs going up here actually. Now part of me is thinking these bits here will need some shielding because, you know, just having a blast area open and, you know, ready to go is not exactly cricket, and we can cover up some of that concrete as well. Now, under structures, do we have silo covers at all? No, we do have these frames. I mean, we could technically use some of these to provide some shielding, which I might do off camera. Jail windows, no. Yeah, so we do actually have these silo doors, so we can actually clamp these shut. Oh, they auto-close, damn. And that's for, of course, the big ones. So yeah, we can shut these when they're not in operation. And then open them when they are. But, what I'm thinking here is perhaps from this point here forwards, do we have any half walls? Just for the purposes of demonstration here. I might have to fuck around with my own half walls, but we'll see what I can do. Okay, there's not going to be any under that. I probably should have known that from the get-go. Does thematic... no, not thematic and practical. Walls. Do we have half walls? Pretty sure... yeah, that's it. We've got a sort of half shack wall. Now this will probably not snap because of course it wouldn't. But that's one here. So if I put this half wall here, then here, and I'll have to match this up on the other side, I think. Actually, no, fuck it. I've got the shape of the ship. I can just mess around with it as and when, so like that. And I'm thinking, have a set of steps that come down onto this part of the ship. We'll obviously make this out of metal and some more stronger materials. That I would say that needs moving, but we can always cover this up with a missile. So we have steps down onto here. I'm sure we can get a few small wooden steps just for illustration purposes. Yeah, we can do that. So let's just put these down for illustration, of course. Like I say, guys, none of this is set in stone. This is all just planning and framework to get the basic shape. We are going to make this a reality differently. It's going to be in this shape. It's just going to be different materials. It's going to look a lot prettier. So we have steps down here, and this could essentially be a gun deck. What I could do actually is elevate these silo middle parts and then give them some concrete shielding so the missiles will fly up and then, you know, the flame won't kill anyone. But there will be an alarm on the back of here, so when they are about to fire, the Minutemen will take cover. The Minutemen will not be here. Then we have what I would probably call like a gun deck of some kind up here. Somewhere for the Minutemen to look out, maybe a place to sit on deck, or potentially like an action stations area. Because if you're not manning the top here, you probably shouldn't be up top. You should probably be downstairs in the quarters, your mess hall, or whatever. So that will probably stretch. Well, this being slightly elevated is going to stretch for the whole deck. And then up the front here, I think from here and forwards, so let's say here and here. That's it. We'll just bring that back. No, don't do that. I think these bits just here would be a good example of where I would draw the line. I'm so glad I can switch off that object snap. I completely forgot it was a hotkey for a while. So I like how now I do want it to snap, it just decides, actually I don't really want to. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm thinking where I've sectioned this off will be the bridge, or like the control centre for the boat, as it were. Again, this is just an outline, relax. Yeah, so I think here is a good place for action stations. I might see if I can actually put some mounted guns along this side. I think the proportions of this ship will be right here. There will be probably a couple of planning episodes for this, because this is not a small undertaking to do this. This is quite difficult. And these will have to make a short set of steps upwards onto the deck. So, missile deck, gun deck, the bridge. The bridge will probably be 2 stories. I think I will put a set of steps on the starboard side to go up to the top. And I think I might create a bit of an entrance way into it from here, because this could be potentially these 3 steps here, could be an entrance and the steps to go under into the lower decks. Then underneath I'll need to have a steerage or storage deck, if you want to use the modern term, but steerage. Steerage probably at the front wouldn't be a bad shout. Then all along here will have to be living decks, and then a missile control room at the back. That's the plan that I'm looking at doing. I'm going to have to mirror the shack floor onto the level below, which is going to be irritating and it's going to be difficult. But I am really looking forward to how this is going to turn out. This is going to be incredible when it's done. I have no doubt about that. But it's been an hour and all we've really done is plan an outline of a craft here. Let me know what you guys think. If you've got suggestions for the name of the ship, please drop them below. If you've managed to last all the way to the end of the video, please drop a comment and say you've done so, because I love you guys. I know there's 2 of you who do every single video. You know who you are. Leave a comment. And if you've made it to the end of the video, make sure you like, you comment and you subscribe, and you hit that notification bell. If you hit the notification bell, you'll know every time I post a new episode. Really helps me out too. But this is where I'm going to leave you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support up until now. Hopefully you'll be with me for the journey of building this enormous, incredible asset to the Minuteman Navy. This is going to be one incredible journey. Probably my most ambitious. But until the next one, guys, thank you very much. Peace out. Stay safe. And I love you very much. See you guys later.